Live from New York, this is WIUR Radio.
Hello, I'm Jack Schafer, and I'm here with Hunter Questal for the start of our new show. The thing that we'll be going over is the major New York City sports. So anything from the MLB, NFL, NBA, stuff like that. We'll be going over all the different teams every week. Kind of simple. I'll ask Hunter, what would you say? What do you think about this show?
Honestly, I think it's super exciting when you get to talk about everything sports, which is something I'm always good for. And it's something I could probably do every week, all the time. So I'm here to inform you guys of what you guys maybe missed or what you guys are controversial takes, our takes on it, how we feel about it, and just game updates. So I wanted to ask you every Sunday, we got two New York teams playing right now three technically, but we're going to talk about the New Jersey teams actually.
Yeah, the New York City area teams, not
Right,
Buffalo.
so
We're not close there.
exactly. And so I wanted to ask you about the Jets. The Jets ended up taking a loss to the Bills on Sunday, and it was not a pretty one for Jets fans.
Yeah, no, it's especially after coming off such a close loss in week 1 to the Steelers. Like, you were kind of feeling a little better about the team. Sure, no loss is considered a good. No loss feels good, but some losses feel better than others. So when you had that loss against the Steelers team that you thought was at least pretty good, having such a high score in that game, and you come into the Bills, maybe you can play them pretty close, and then you kind of just lose by 20. It's hard. It feels very hard to feel good about that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I think the hype around the offense after dropping about 40 points in game one is like all gone away after you barely score in week 2. So Justin Fields had a great week 1, and I think everyone started to get a little around the hype train of Justin Fields playing well, and all of a sudden Justin Fields, where's Justin Fields? I mean, I wouldn't put this all on Justin Fields at all because the defense secondary did not look good at all. And yeah, they just kept air raiding them, and Jets did not have anything to reply with. So Justin Fields, I don't blame Justin Fields for this, but I think the hype train around the quarterback in New York, well, on that half of New York, it's gone completely all in 1 week.
Yeah, most of what you're feeling really good about Justin Fields it dampers it, a lot of it. And your defense giving up 30 points in first 2 games, your defense gives up 30 plus points. That's not a good feeling for your defense to really get like your feeling starting, especially with a new head coach, new quarterback. You kind of want to do something better than what you've seen in previous years, and you're not really doing that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. All right, now let's switch over to the Giants. The Giants, that game, I don't even know where to begin. That was very upsetting, and I think Russell Wilson played amazing, but unfortunately, the Giants did not come out on top, losing to the Cowboys this Sunday.
I think you gotta kind of start off with 2 points. First point, the complete meltdown of the offense in the overtime cannot be overstated how bad that was. Russell Wilson's fumble behind himself trying to keep the ball and I'm guessing run on the first drive of overtime just completely, I think, deflated everything about what the good things you were feeling about Russell Wilson that game. All those deep shot passes to both Neighbors and Robinson, all kind of looking very much like a vintage Russell Wilson. And then he kind of just you're very close. You're, I think, second and third it was, where he throws it back. Now you're second and you're third and way long, and it just, that drive is dead. And then the next drive throws a arm punt all the way downfield, trying to find Neighbors deep, but praying that you're finding your receiver deep means that you're not really doing all that well.
I completely agree with you. I think that the overtime meltdown was something that is not ever like not going to be overlooked, especially in the New York market where obviously New York fans hold a little bit higher of a standard for a team than a lot of other teams do. And yeah, I mean, there's not really much to be said for what they did in overtime, but I think overall that the Giants had a much better performance than the Jets did this week. So,
Well, I mean, yeah, that's kind of obvious when you're playing a close game with a division rival. It's a lot better than playing far away then you're getting blown out in your other game. But I think another point, the penalties, man, those were awful. Like over 10 plus penalties and throughout the entire game. Your offensive lineman, um, gets penalized 4 times in a drive. That's brutal. You're
Was it the
just
same offensive lineman?
Yes, for the same offensive lineman got penalized 4 separate times in that single drive. He obviously got pulled after that, but
I
it's just
figured he would not get much play time after that.
it's ridiculous. How do you very undisciplined out of the Giants, especially when you're questioning you're questioning Brian Dable as a coach. Very much coming into the season, debates were had of whether he should even have kept his job, of whether he should have already gotten sacked before they brought a new coach for the new quarterback that they're bringing in, trying to ready up Dart instead of instead of having him go through so much of a cycle that I feel like so many young quarterbacks go through, where the head coach gets a quarterback drafted because they're on their final year, they're on the hot seat. They still don't do well during that year, so then he gets fired, and a new head coach gets hired, and then the rookie quarterback, who then becomes a sophomore quarterback, then has to learn a whole new playbook, whole new coaching staff. It's a vicious cycle that you see across the league. You've seen it with the Jets, you've seen it with the Giants. It's just this terrible thing that keeps happening in the league because it's both coaches and front office executives trying to keep their jobs by trying to gamble on the quarterback. It doesn't work out the first year because it's never really going to work out the first year. And then you have to teach the kid a whole new offensive scheme. Although, and yeah, you could see they used Dart in this game very weirdly. Like the first, the first 2 plays that they did, the bringing Dart out to play quarterback to threaten the run better, which makes sense because you're getting very surprised. The Cowboys don't really know what are we doing here? So the first 2 times it makes sense. You have the element of surprise going on, but then the third time you do it, the surprise is gone. You already kind of know what you're gonna do. There's nothing to really get the Cowboys on. They've seen it twice. They're not going to get fooled by the same trick 3 times because it's just not how that works. The NFL is they know what they're doing.
Yeah, no, I think that the Giants had a better shot threatening Dart with a pass on one of the plays just to even get the Cowboys what are they going to do next time that he comes out on the field? I mean, thank you. When he came out on the field, you knew what the play call was going to be. You knew what they were going to do, and they were doing it before they did it. So I think that they had to threaten something else, even if they didn't want him to throw the ball at all. At least threaten to throw the ball. Do something that is going to get them way off of. Oh, they're going to run the ball. That was pretty obvious when he came out.
I thought this would have been more fun as well if Russell Wilson wasn't having one of the best games of his career. Because too, if this was, let's say, Wilson, unlike last week, where he was having a very bad game. Obviously, to be fair, that was also a lot with the offensive line, which wasn't as bad this week, but wasn't I wouldn't call it good, but it was atrocious against the Commanders. But yeah, it's better to have those. If you're doing that, you would want to do it with a Wilson that's struggling, not one that's having the game of his career instead. It feels like a very odd time to deploy the Dart you have.
Yeah, I mean, Russell Wilson, he is known for being a scrambling quarterback. I mean, obviously he's getting older now, but he can still scramble out of the pocket and be a run threat. So I feel like you're kind of taking your faith out of Russell Wilson to put it in Jackson Dart in that scenario, which I just don't think is necessary when he's having that good of a game.
Yeah, no, it's very odd, and it kind of brings you to keep questioning the coaching staff, whether this offensive coordinator and head coach are the correct fit for this team, especially after going 0-2, I think, for the 10th time in 14 years. This is the 10th time in 14 years that the Giants have started their season 0-2. So, yeah, it's been obviously been circling through coaches, as a bad team usually does.
I mean, the Jets, they're also 0-2, so it's not looking too hot right now for the Meadowlands at this point. It's 0-2. It's not looking too great. So, I mean, I think the Giants have a lot better of an opportunity and a lot more talented of a core to play well and possibly make that wild card spot. I don't think they're the division winner this year. Um, they could definitely play well, make that one of the wild card spots, make the playoffs, and maybe make a run if they play well. But I mean, I feel like with Philadelphia in your division, it's difficult.
You have 3 teams that are brutal in the NFC East. You have the Cowboys, who obviously aren't as good after trading Micah Parsons, but like they're still very much a threat to get one of those wild card spots. You can't really count them out. Commanders, who are coming off of a very good, very amazing season last year with Daniels, and obviously I think he's hurt this week, but like he's a very it's a very good team after getting rid of your old owner. He was yeah, no. They finally got new ownership, and that's better for them. And then the Eagles, obviously the Super Bowl winners, who aren't slowing down that much. So it's you have 3 teams that are really good, and then you have yourself, which is not good. I think honestly, I don't think either of these teams are making the playoffs. To be fair, I came into the season. I don't think either of these teams were gonna make it. Neither were that good. Neither were like blown off the page. Like the Jets, they probably could have been, I think, better, maybe threatened to get to the playoffs. I didn't see the Giants threatening the playoffs. I see the season ending with Dable getting fired, either midseason or end. I'm not sure what way Mara wants to fire him. But yeah, no, both these teams we're in for a brutal fall with the New York Football.
I completely agree with you 100%.
I did want to get back to the Giants' point of it being this is also a trend that has happened. This is the 4th time in the past 10 years that the Giants have given up a 60+ yard field goal as regulation expires.
Wow, I did not know that. I mean, the Cowboys do have the best kicker in football. So, I mean, like, when he came out there, me and my dad were sitting down watching the game, and we were like, he's totally making this. Like, it's crazy to say that when a dude's kicking from 64 yards at the end of the game, but he came out there, and we were pretty confident that the guy was making that. He was gonna end up making it.
Yeah, they were mentioning it like all the time on the broadcast about like how great of a leg he had, and you could see it like on that 60-yarder. I think that could have went at least 70. Probably,
I agree.
He's ridiculous, and that's kind of why I was thinking, why are you playing prevent defense? Why are you trying to prevent the touchdown when this guy can clearly hit it from beyond the 50-yard line? I don't know why you're playing so soft when you kind of need to play more aggressive in that instance.
I agree. It's crazy to see a kicker kicking from the other side of the 50 on a field goal attempt. Like, that was when you sit down and you see him from the other side of the logo, it's like, wow, he actually just made that. And he could have went for 70, like you said.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. I feel like they're kicking in practice with lead footballs.
Maybe. I mean, maybe. That's a possibility.
They need to train their legs somehow, so they gotta have. Obviously I don't know how they're all doing this, but yeah, it's funny because like 30 years ago, you never see a kicker hit like 60 plus. It's like it was a miracle if someone did do that. Now it's commonplace, which is insane.
Right. And in the preseason, we saw the Jaguars kicker went for 70 yards. And I was like, what are they feeding these kickers nowadays? Because 70 yards is a little ridiculous. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, what's it called? Someone's inevitably going to beat that in regulation. What's it called? It was I think the record now was on the Ravens. It was like a one that doinked in. It was very
Against the
much
Lions,
trying to. It was if it was like a yard back, that would not have gotten in. But it's like now that looks like trivial.
They have a lot of controversy on that play because he kicked it and just missed like terribly bad on the first kick. And then there was a penalty and they called it back, but the penalty was like, not to get on controversial calls, but I'm sure that we all remember the Super Bowl against the Chiefs and the Eagles the first time around. There was that holding or PI that was at the end of the game, and it was pretty much the same thing. And we were like, how do you even do that on a like he's kicking? Well, how did you do that? And it was like a holding call that was like, huh? And then all of a sudden it goes in, and he shouldn't even have had the opportunity to make it. But I mean, that's what these guys do. They take opportunities that when they get their opportunity, they're not gonna mess it up. So
Yeah. I feel like I have another point I wanted to make on the Giants. But it's like, oh yeah, obviously the offense was way better this time around. Russell Wilson passed for over 450 yards.
I saw that.
Absolutely ridiculous. And then defense just does nothing to help you out. And then because that pass to Neighbors at the end of near the end of the fourth quarter, that was the 48-yard pass. Absolutely ridiculous. I was going crazy for that, and then it all fell apart come overtime. So it's very brutal way to lose, especially after coming off just like a very conventional way to have a bad loss in your first
Yeah, no,
week.
I completely agree. It was really cool to actually watch towards the end of the game because the Giants, they were playing really well, and then I really don't know what the play calling was when it got to overtime because the Giants really had the momentum going into. I mean, they kicked the field goal, but up to that point, like everyone was playing pretty well, so it was like they had the momentum going into overtime, and they just fell apart as soon as they got to overtime.
Oh yeah, no, it was a very entertaining game. If you had no horse in the fight, you had no dog in the fight. Like Ravens Bills week 1, that was an insanely fun game to watch when you don't have any rooting interest in. If you have a rooting interest in it and you're the team that loses, it's not very fun.
Yep, I was watching my Seahawks play this weekend, and I saw they won, and I was like, "All right, time to watch the Giants game because it looks pretty close." So I turned on the Giants game, and we watched, and we saw about the last 4 minutes of the game, and entertaining to say the least. It was a great time to watch. I mean, obviously, the
Sure it
Giants did
was.
not come on top, but obviously, objectively, it was a good game, and yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see. I mean, the Giants, when you look at their team on paper, their defense is honestly pretty. Like their defensive line is ridiculously good.
Yeah, you should have a really good pass rush, and then they weren't really getting to Dak all that much in that game because you have Thibodeau, you have Carter, who you just drafted 3rd overall. You have these guys on the front 4 that should be very good and didn't really get to anyone.
Yeah, I mean that's just growing pains though. I feel like a lot. Well, obviously Carter's super young, so you're not really. It's gonna take probably a little while for him to adjust to NFL level physicality based on prior guys that they got drafted. They're really good, and it's gonna take them a little bit. I'm not too worried about Carter at all. And then obviously the other guys, I don't know, just bad game maybe, but hey, I would look forward to seeing Jackson Dart play in the future. And obviously this defense is pretty good. I think you guys got a lot of them locked up for a little while, so it's not long term, but you got them for a few more seasons. So honestly, Giants fans maybe could look a little excited in the future a little bit. They're building up a good team.
Maybe.
Yeah, I know you don't want to get your hopes up, but
I know what this team has done the past decade plus. It's been nothing great. Okay. I think we should get to these ad breaks. Okay. Interested in having your voice heard? Interested in hosting a show on WIUR? Email our president, Robbie Basil, or come by the station, and we will help get you started. Have an announcement for a club or event that you would like to promote? Email President Robbie Basil or DM us on Instagram at WIUR Gales Radio. That's WIUR_Gales Radio with your post or announcement concept. Interested in having an audio ad for WIUR or for WIUR sports broadcasting? DM us on Instagram with your concept or contact one of our e-board members who will give out more information. Thank you. So should we get to talking about your Mets?
yeah, I think we should. Honestly, I think this is the time now we talk about them.
Should we go over the season in like a full scope? Because I feel like that's a very important thing.
Yeah, of course. We could lead off with Soto being absolutely terrible for the first 3 months of the season.
Yeah, but he's more come around. I was more thinking about how for your first around 70 games, you were the best team in baseball. And since then, you've had a bottom 5 record, which is absolutely brutal.
Yeah, it's been a rough season, honestly, but I think it's really exciting because obviously the Mets didn't really have much they made the World Series in 2015, but when the Wilpons were there, there was nothing really to look forward to when the offseason came around because it was like, oh, are they actually going to do something or are they just going to pocket all the money again? And it was like they would pay a few guys to stay over like what they have to stay over with like what happened with the Athletics this year, where the commissioner was like, hey, you guys need to spend money or else we're going to start finding you guys. And then they go out and they buy Luis Severino for 60 million, which worked out horribly for the A's. But yeah, when the Cohen comes around, it changes everything in New York baseball because Yankee fans don't want to admit it, but when offseason comes around, they never worried about the Mets. Now there's a top prospect, there's a top guy that the Yankees want. They have to know that both New York teams are bidding on that player if they want him. And
Oh yeah, no. With Wilpons, they called them the coupons because of how stingy they were, especially when you're in the biggest market in the country. It's absolutely ridiculous to have your owners be that cheap with your entire team. But I'm guessing the Mets did pretty well for their when they're under the ownership of the Wilpons financially. I don't see how they would have been doing bad financially. I'll say that. So it's like insane to see that you're in this big market. You're not really spending much because even the Angels, who are obviously they're not in Los Angeles proper, they're in Anaheim. But like they're in that media market, and they do spend not well, to be fair. The Angels do not spend well at all, but at least they do spend. That's what the Wilpons not do. So yeah, Cohen is a very big threat whenever a free agent comes along, especially Soto this year with that giant $500 million contract that he gave him.
yeah, I mean, Soto, watching him the first 3 months of the season was probably the worst thing to ever look at because we played the Yankees during that time period. And the Mets at first started out really, really well. And then right before we hit the Yankee series, like it was like the series before, I forget who we were playing, it just started to slump. And you could just see it. And Soto was just so frustrated because he wasn't hitting the ball. You could see he just looked miserable everywhere that he went. And then they came around to the Yankees, and personally, I wanted to go to the Bronx to watch Soto's return because I knew he was gonna get booed out of the stadium, and he just it was amazing to watch, honestly, when he walks up and all the boos, and yeah, the Mets just weren't playing well, and that's just kinda what happened. The problem with the Mets this year is that they've been super streaky. Like, they'll go on an 8-game losing streak and then just randomly tear up, and it doesn't even matter who they're playing. Like, it's not like they're losing against good teams, like, it's just whenever they feel like being good, which kinda is unfortunate because it's like, if we even make it to the postseason at this point, it's a tight race in the NL right now. The Giants are I think it's a game and a half out. They might both be 2. Them and the Diamondbacks might be 2. Super close NL race, and the Mets are just trying to keep the last wild card spot. They're playing the Padres now, so the Padres are the spot ahead of them in the wild card. They're 4 games out. The Mets just absolutely slaughtered them last night.
Yeah, the Mets are the third wild card in the standings right now, and they are only a game and a half above the Diamondbacks for that final wild card spot. So yes, they are very much still fighting for their playoff lives. Although to be fair, when you're saying with how streaky it is, if you can go into the postseason starting to be on fire, then you can go a long way with that. If you're a very streaky team, then you can. If you're getting on that good streak going into the postseason, then that's very good. Obviously, if you're not, then if you fall out of it completely, it's a moot point, obviously. Especially
Right,
with
but you can't have much high hopes for a 6 seed, so it's like, you're already going into it like, "Hey, man, can we even manage to pull off a run like that?" So if they do manage to pull off a run like that, that's super exciting because last year was a super fun team to watch. All of a sudden, they sucked, were absolutely horrendous. I think they were 11 games under 500, right coming into June, and then the team just went on a tear. They were, like, the best team in baseball from, like, June on, and they were just winning, like, every game, and it got to the point where I was like, "This team is also they're fighting for like, the wild card spot, the last wild card spot that came down to the second to last game of the year." And then all Mets fans are like, "Hey, this team is genuinely a competition to make it to the World Series." I mean, the NL is definitely stacked, so it's hard to bounce around the fact that you have the Dodgers, the Padres, like, the NL is just the Phillies, you have all of them, but the Mets went into it playing the Brewers, which is already a tough game when you're going to Milwaukee because Milwaukee just I mean, Yankees like Yankees sore subject, but Devin Williams was pitching like ridiculously well, one of the best closers in the game. So it was like when it comes down to that, Pete Alonso hits a home run in game 3 in the top of the 9th inning to put the Mets on top 3-2. And then after that, they score an additional insurance run 4-2. And yeah, we just didn't see it coming. And so when that happened, the momentum just started rolling. We beat the Phillies in 4 games. It was best of 3 or best of 5. And we win 3-1 and we killed the Phillies. Like the Phillies didn't even have a life. And then we get to the Dodgers and the pitching staff that pitched so well is facing Shohei Ohtani and the rest of the all-stars that are on that entire roster. So it was tough. They got lit up, but this year I think the roster, you're right. I do hope that the Yankees are obviously playing really well. I do kind of hope that the Yankees make a good run. That's crazy to say as a Mets fan. Last year, I was looking forward to that Subway Series, World Series. I think that would have destroyed New York, unfortunately. New York would be gone.
Honestly, I think if both teams made it to the World Series last year, I think the Mets win that. Mainly just
think so?
because call me a little weird, but like they won. The Yankees have been so good. Like this version of the Yankees since the start of 2017, the Judge Yankees have been very good against the AL Central and not really good against anyone else in the playoffs. Like obviously a lot of that is both Boston and Houston. So like those are the very teams you've done. This version of the Yankees has done poor against, but then even when you went to the Dodgers, you just got lit up, especially in game 5. The defense just completely floundering out there, not being able to almost know what they're doing, it looked like.
Watch out for the fly ball that comes towards Aaron Judge, honestly.
What's called, to be fair, you had to watch the wall in 2023 with the way it went. His foot got broken by the stupid wall in Dodger Stadium.
Yeah, I mean, that World Series game 1 was just like it looked like it was setting us up for an amazing series because I know obviously the Yankees lost, but the Yankees played well. I really can't say that they didn't play well because it was a close game. It came down to I think it was extra innings. Or was it the
No,
bottom
it
of
was
the 9th?
the bottom of the 9th.
And then Freddie hits
Boone brought Cortez in from the bullpen, which was a crazy move that made no sense in the moment. When I was watching that game, I was like, why are we bringing out Nestor Cortez? And then obviously it looked even worse in hindsight because, that grand slam that he hit. But it was a very questionable move at the time. Obviously, considered obviously the wrong choice afterwards. But the point you said earlier about like the Mets, even if they succeed, might not go on a run. The Diamondbacks, just 2 years ago, they were the 6th seed, had only 84 wins, and then they all went all the way to the World Series. Obviously, didn't win against the Rangers, but like this baseball is very much a sport where any of the teams can go on a run at any moment. It's not like basketball where you've only seen two 8 seeds ever in the history of the sport get to the finals. Because like that was the Knicks in 99, which that was not really a team that was probably an 8 seed talent going in. Like they had a bunch of injuries and everything that year, but they got healthy for the postseason. Then they went on their run to get beaten 5 games with the Spurs in the finals. Then you had the Heat just a couple of years ago go to it as the 8 seed. But like
Jimmy Butler is a different breed in the playoffs, but
yeah, no, baseball is very much the sport where any team can kind of go on that run and
yeah, no, I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think honestly that baseball, there's an opportunity that both teams could make a nice run in the playoffs, but I'm not going to hold my hopes high for the Mets, but they do have a couple young guys, so I'm excited to see this young pitching core blossom out to be pretty good. And yeah, I hope that's what happens, honestly, because that's all I can really do at this point.
Yeah. Well, that's all we got from us. I'm Jack Schafer. He's
I'm Hunter Questal.
Yeah. And have a great day.
Live from New